That comic podcast.
Hello. Welcome to That Comic Podcast. I'm your host, Minty, and with me, as always, are my wonderful sidekicks. First, Mr. He didn't see the movie, so we're moving right over to P Features.
Hello, Internet.
And the only other person who saw the movie, Lancelot.
Cyclops X.
Well, I mean, do we have to bring such negativity right into the beginning of such a happy show?
Yeah, we're about to give like a lot of time to DC, so I gotta throw some Marvel in there.
I mean, I just felt it feels shoehorned at this point, man. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning back in. This is, I know, a busy week for us. This is our third show this week, but there was no way in the world we were going to not do a Superman review, seeing as how three of us got lucky enough to get those Amazon tickets. So that really is why this is happening. So we all got a chance to see the early showing of Superman, and it was a very different experience than I expected it to be. But to be honest, I don't know what I was expecting. It's just one of those, like, I was amped, I was excited, but I had no idea how the pieces were going to be put together when you think of how the trailers were always laid out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be like.
Because the trailers really don't give away the tone of it at all.
No, just the intro.
Yeah.
Right.
So you didn't really get much for anybody. They Walking Dead this. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review of the Superman movie, and that is that's my only spoiler for you, is that if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the first 3 minutes. That's about it. So without giving anything away, let's round robin. What did we all think? Let's start with Lance, because I was with Features, so I have an idea what he's going through.
Yeah. Like you said, it was a different experience than anything I could have expected. And it was one of those that you felt the movie, and it was not really like you were watching it, but there was something at the end where it's like, this is a very unique experience, and it very much feels like Superman. It
feels like the culmination of superhero movies.
Yeah,
it feels like it was like Features. I'm going to jump to you in just a second.
Yeah.
It feels like all of these movies, starting from all the way to Blade, right, all the way into the X-Men movies, where audiences weren't ready for that, and they had to wear black. And then we get into the MCU, and it's like, let's not make comic book movies because we saw what happened with Ang Lee's Hulk. Let's make genre-specific films and throw superheroes in it. This is a comic book movie through and done exquisitely. It's incredible that it actually translates as well as it does, because it feels like it's ripped from the panels. All right, go ahead, Features.
I mean, I'm definitely on the same page as you guys. I think the movie itself was terrific, and just to piggyback off of what Lance was saying, it is something that you feel. It's the most Superman movie since, I would say, Chris Reeves. Like,
maybe ever.
Yeah.
Probably even ever. Because
I don't want to say it yet, because Christopher Reeves is still really important to all of us, and this is still a really recency bias, and we haven't had really any other Superman appearances yet, but I'm not far from saying that.
I mean, and rightfully so, though. Corn Sweat, he brought something to this role, I think, that was just... And this is no shade to Henry Cavill, because I think Henry Cavill was a great Superman, but there was a certain character that he brought to the role that got you into Superman. Superman felt like a man who was super, and not the alien we know as Superman.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
No, I completely. Not only do I agree, let me take it a step further. Growing up, when I always looked at Superman, I saw Superman as the world's greatest dad. Right, it's the most dad energy from a character you could possibly get. That's why I think Superman and Lois is so good, because finally seeing him as a dad is just special. When Jonathan Kent was first brought around, when he was a child still, and you're like, and seeing Dad Superman was just, it felt so right. And it's kind of how I always saw him, as a person to kind of look up to, not necessarily relate to. David Cornsweet was able to pull off what I didn't think was necessarily possible in making him relatable in that degree as well. because because of the way the world is shaped around him and the way that his morals are set up on just standard goodness, that it gives the movie or his character a different dynamic than anything we've necessarily seen since Christopher Reeves, but I think even more so because of the grandiose nature of James Gunn's world building.
Right.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
The James Gunn just has a way with film. Like,
Not just film, comic book film.
Yeah.
Well-
It's... Go ahead, Features.
I haven't I'm not aware of all of James Gunn's works, but I don't know if I want to leave it specifically to comic book films, or maybe it's that he's really good. Maybe he's really good at character development in these genres.
He made a horror movie I don't really like called Slither. Some people love it. I know Buzz loves it. I'm not a big fan. I don't know much outside of Guardians, which let's be honest,
Super
is
with
incredible.
Rainn Wilson.
Yeah, Super, which counts and doesn't count.
Right.
That's got its foot in both camps.
But yeah, he's done this really magnificent job of, one, taking characters that you really don't, whether you know about them or not, he takes them and makes them something that you either want to get to know, or it's exciting once it hits the screen. It's like, whoa, this is actually kind of cool.
I know what you're getting at.
Oh yeah, you know.
Without spoiling anything, I'm wary on where you're going. But can I button this up?
Go on.
I think what you're saying, and forgive me if I'm stepping out of turn here, but you're saying that Mr. Terrific got the Guardians treatment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be excited about Mr. Terrific.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Guy's cool, Hawkgirl's cool, Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific is a different ball game.
And I wasn't expecting much from Mr. Terrific.
No, neither was I.
Right.
I was not at all. And
I was expecting it to be kind of throwaway.
Yeah. I expected them all to be kind of throwaway, and to a degree they are, but they still affect
Made them
the plot
important.
in ways that are
Yeah.
that make them important. You know what they remind me of? Not as well done, but they remind me of the Spider-Men in No Way Home, Tobey
Okay.
and Andrew.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, they're still very important, but they're not that important, which you don't want them to be because it's a Superman movie, not a Guy Gardner movie.
Right.
Right.
Right. So at no point was I like, man, I really wish there was more bowl cut. It was a perfect amount of bowl cut. Right?
Oh gosh, I want to say so much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And look, and we're doing a really good job of keeping that down. But let's reel it back in, excitement down, just taper it a second, and let's just say,
Cruise Bravo.
did it meet expectations? I think the answer is pretty blatant, but we'll start with Features this time. Did it meet expectations?
I think it exceeded my expectations, honestly. I think it exceeded mine. I went into it thinking like, all right, this is Superman. My expectations were mostly with James Gunn and his production and directing debut for it. I was like, all right, I have faith in him, right? And then when seeing the film, all that faith was properly stored in the right place, and again, expectations were met and exceeded. I loved it. What about you?
Me as in me or Lance?
Dude,
We'll go Lance. Go ahead, Lance.
We'll go Lance.
It like you said, it exceeded my expectations, but that they were different than my expectations. If that makes any sense, you know, it was I had expectations with it being Gunn, just being fun. That's all I wanted was fun, and it was different.
But see, what I love so much about it is fun, but fun is just the wrapping paper.
Right.
Like
And
there's
it's
so
such
much
wrapping paper,
underneath.
too.
It's beautiful wrapping paper. But it's so much underneath, so much so that I felt myself even getting oddly emotional over scenes that really meant nothing. They were just scenes that showed the kind of Superman that I've always wanted to see. The one that I've read for years, but I've never necessarily fully saw. And I think Taylor Hitchelson, the best TV Superman, and arguably maybe one of the best Superman. David Cornsweat's up there quite a bit now, though.
Yeah.
David Cornsweat skyrockets to the top. Although Taylor is very much a close second, if not they're battling to me, because I can't say how much I love Superman and Lois, but this was just something different.
What you're saying, the vibe with the second after credit scene just embodied that entire vibe, and it was just, okay, all right, I like it.
Well, you know what? Okay, so this actually won't spoil anything because you've watched any of the trailers or if you've watched the clips they've already released. This doesn't spoil anything. Like, it's just because we know that Luther takes Crypto at one point. It's the scene where he just says, I know he's scared, and I know, and that's the way he just, he's already kind of beaten, and he's like still trying to get up because Crypto might be scared. And that's the Superman. And there's so many other tiny moments that they show that. It reminds me a lot of, what was the animated movie where it was the British band, or the British dude? Do you remember what's up? It's Superman in the, what are they? Not the that's the Marvel game. The Elites.
Yes. Superman versus the
Elites. The way he kind of treats them is similar to this Superman. So if you want to watch that ahead of time, it's actually not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's similar vibes to some degree. Older Superman, obviously, in that, but the same kind of, how he treats the world is different than the way that the superhero community does. And we said that was going to be the case, I think, 4 years ago when this movie was announced? Like, how do you make Superman punk rock?
Yeah.
That's what they went and did with this movie in such a beautiful way. And that even will make more sense after you see the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Go ahead.
Just the way you said that, it made me giggle a little bit, all things considered.
Everyone's going to see this. If you're watching this or listening to this, there's no question you're going to see the movie. So after you see it, you're going to go, yeah, he's right. He's right. Yeah. He's right.
Like if you guys are watching this and you can see like our expressions as we're talking about this is how we left the theater. Like, and I would assume, like, if you're not an absolute hater, that you will leave the theater the very same way. Like this.
No, that's a great. What a segue. Let's move into the controversies. Let's take a gander down obnoxious road here for a moment. And there are, for some reason, even though the movie's not out yet, and we're just talking about pre-screenings and Amazon Prime, there's enough opinion out there that we can have just wild conversations on both ends. Actually, there's three ends to this. So first off, let's talk about Machination. Let's talk about woke Superman for a second, because Lord Almighty, you guys, this is like this. Remember when Falcon first became Captain America, and his story was about the Serpent Society?
Yeah,
they kidnapped a family crossing the border, and then they were like, Captain America is all about open borders. It's like, no, he saved a family that was kidnapped. It just happened to be at the border. So now we have this new woke Superman nonsense over the fact that he's an immigrant. And it's like, where have you been, bro? This is not a new story. We've been down this road so many times.
These are clearly not Superman fans.
These are clearly not comic fans.
No,
like, what?
I don't see. You guys are giving them more credit than that. They know exactly what they're doing. I just think they're riding algorithm waves. All I think that's happening is these are people who make their money on rage bait. There's a huge push with Superman right now. That hashtag is going crazy. An easy way to get your face in front of people. Hell, it's the reason we're recording this on a non-podcast episode.
Yep.
So they're doing the same thing. They just don't know how to get people angry. So they're like, isn't he an immigrant? Let's focus on that.
Wow.
Yeah, we got to find something.
It just feels so hollow. And if you watch the movie, it's not like he's so much about being a Kansas kid. It's just stop it. Pick your battles, bro. This is a dumb one.
It's rage bait, and it's
the worst. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's giving them more credit. Like, everyone's like, I can't believe how dumb they are. I'm like, I don't think they're dumb. I think they're riding a wave, and then they're preying on dumber people.
Oh yeah.
I'm so happy I did not see that article or post, because I would have commented like, this is dumb. Like,
they're all over the place.
I've been very active in argumenting on the internet the last couple of days, and I feel dumb just doing that.
There are some aspects of the movie, because again, I'm not getting into spoiler territory, that if you're right leaning and you want to go, they're poking fun, yeah, okay, there are.
Yeah.
That's
Have you
James
seen
Gunn,
a
though.
James Gunn movie?
Yeah, that's
100%.
James
Yeah.
Gunn going into it. You got to know that's going to happen. But it's subtle and it's not a really a big deal. So even if you're right leaning, I don't think you'd ever get that mad.
It's careful. Yeah.
Your fact that you're choosing to be mad over his immigrant status is the craziest part of to me, because it's just so not what the story is. It is, don't get me wrong, but it's not like a focus or an aspect that is new or groundbreaking or pushing the envelope. This is so
It's only been 100
ABCs
years.
of Superman. Right.
I just want to say that for the people out there that are really taking the argument of his immigrant status as a serious, if this is a serious debate, people, he's still a fictional character. I understand Superman's important, but fictional character doesn't make a difference.
When they call him an alien, it's because he's not from Earth. He's an alien.
Right.
An illegal alien because he's not from Earth.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. So I don't want to stay on this too long because it's just so blatantly rage bait that I don't want to feed into it. Because, like, again,
we've already said too much.
You want to make a stellar argument about why this movie's bad, you can. I've read and seen plenty of people who are saying it's silly. You know what? It is.
Yeah.
I've seen people saying it's convoluted. It's too fast paced. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You
There's
can
a
make all the
lot that
faces you want
happens.
features. It's a comic book movie. Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, how we are used to storytelling where you turn a page and a villain is just ending a fight, and that's how they start the story. That's how we're used to storytelling. So when it does things in that storytelling arena, it's not far-fetched for us. But for average moviegoers, it might be. For example, Star Wars. Star Wars, when to us, is all normal as can be. But when it first came out, people were like, "This movie is what is even happening? What's a droid?" Like, because Lucas didn't want to hold your hand. He just put you in the world, and that's what this movie does. So I can see where people would have some honest, real good arguments and gripes with that type of storytelling. It doesn't affect me at all, and I don't have an issue. But to say it's an immigrant, just
And you know, to the people that are not enjoying it because of just not enjoying it, I don't know if like they are trying to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Well, that goes back into things we were talking about before, where audiences nowadays, especially with comic books, don't give a pass the way they once did. Like when the Age of Ultrons came out, like we all act like the comic book heyday of movies was the early MCU, like Thor 2 wasn't a thing.
Right.
Right. Some people love Iron Man 3. I don't. But they act like that was not a movie that was definitely controversial at the time and pissed a lot of people off. So, but we forgave things back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't forgive things now because we're kind of getting tired. That's where the fatigue everyone keeps talking about. That's it rearing its ugly head with people looking for things to be pissed off before enjoying.
I love opinions. I love if it's a bad opinion or a good opinion, you know, it's your opinion and it's all in perspective. I just hate the rage baiting for things that are just completely irrelevant.
Right.
That's
well,
what
and
it
it's if you want to complain about that aspect of the story, it doesn't. It holds no weight. Like then there's no point of even engaging because you don't like the premise off rip. It's like talking to you about Superman is pointless.
Yeah.
So then just get out of this conversation because that's not a character for you. So when you're saying Superman turned woke, it's like, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. This is Superman for as long as I've known.
Right.
But all right, let's move on from that controversy and let's talk about the other side for a quick second because there are other people who are on the opposite end of this spectrum, which is where this is a moral high ground. If you don't like this movie, there is something morally wrong with you. That's another really bizarre take that I'm seeing a lot of people do.
Like kind even of extremist.
Moist Critical did a whole video about this, and it's a very kind of bully mentality and something that Superman would not agree with. The whole idea of telling somebody what to think or feel after seeing a movie that may or may not be their cup of tea and making it some moral high ground is a really bizarre take, and I can't get behind that either.
Gatekeeping.
Very gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is not your Superman, suckers.
Yeah,
what? He's our
understand.
Superman. It's the point.
I don't understand gatekeeping. Like just in general, I have never like if you want more people to enjoy the thing that you love, you should be more accepting of what their viewpoints are.
Yeah,
you know?
and if they have legitimate criticism, hear them out. Like,
Yeah.
look, that's why I like this show for what it is, because the kind of the point is to not agree with you guys.
Yeah.
We tend to agree on a lot of things, but the point of this show in the beginning and has always been differing viewpoints, trying to figure out whether or not a story actually is good, rounded out to our friend group.
All New Venom.
Yeah, example, X-Men.
X-Men, right.
But Superman is not going to be that. We're all going to be on the same page about this. So much so that when Moshko edits this, he wants to put on earplugs because he doesn't even want to hear a spoiler-free review. Like, this is a different thing for people, and so much so that there were, again, I don't want to call it choked up, but we were getting there. Like, there was a lump in the throat for scenes that I was like, not expecting. Like, Crypto is not Crypto as you'd expect, but even more than you would expect. Like, it's not. He's a big deal, but not a big deal in the best of ways.
It had me feeling for things that weren't sold beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last, I guess, well, you don't have to stay on the ridiculous side. All of these are ridiculous sides. But I think the most ridiculous has got to be the Snyder fans. Maybe it's not necessary to bring them up, but if they are still it's just getting so over the top. The fact that Rick and Morty did an episode that brought the two of them together.
Yeah, right.
If that doesn't say that you're on a sinking ship without a leader because your beloved Snyder isn't even on your side anymore.
Yeah.
Like, just stop it. Like, the review bombing is like, it's amazing that we talk about review bombing for things like Riri Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Ironheart gets review bombed, and we're like, that's ridiculous, and I can't believe people would do that. And then you hear the reasonings, and you're like, that's garbage and gross. Yep. And then you hear the reasonings for this, and you're like, what? Because Man of Steel exists?
I want to get a Snyder writer. I want to take him to go see this movie, and then I want to interview them after. I want to know.
Well, I know I bring his name up as an example that makes sense for you guys. It might not make sense for listeners at this point, but our beloved Maurer, who used to be a long time host on this show, who his ideology and mine are always usually a lot different, and I go into movies looking for things to enjoy because I want the spectacle. Maurer, on the other hand, is a person who tends to focus on the negatives first. He sees flaw first, and then that puts him down a path of just railroading,
dissecting
all the issues with the movie first. Mm-hmm. So he'll love things that most people won't, because once he hears the hate, he's willing to give it more of a chance, and he gets forgiving. But when it's the reverse, he starts to look for problems. And I think that when I say we, I mean the collective comic fandom have now made this hobby that we do here at That Comic Podcast and New Rock Stars and everybody else, we have made it a normal thing to dissect these movies to no end.
Yeah.
You
Especially
can't just
New Rock
enjoy
Stars.
it. Right. Well, New Rockstars, New Rockstars and heavy spoilers and all them, they usually try and keep a very positive outlook. But that's where you start getting into the nerdrotics and all them, who do very similar things, but it's all the opposite end of the spectrum. They're looking for reasons to be mad a lot of times. And that's not always true. Sometimes they have valid criticisms and valid takes. But it's sometimes when we start talking about immigrant status, I'm like, this is a ridiculous take. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's what they did. I'm just saying that this whole left versus right fandom divide is so bizarre because the character that we're supposed to be here to love would appall this.
Yeah.
And not one of you would bring up his immigrant status if he was here.
No, because it is highly irrelevant. Like
the fact that it hasn't come up in the last 100 years as an issue.
No, it comes up. No, it comes up every time Superman's kind of big. You'll start hearing about it. Remember the last time, for example, the last time that this I think made news was when they changed the Truth, Justice, and the American Way.
Oh,
to Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the comics when he denounced his U.S. citizenship because he's a hero of the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Like those moments usually bring this up.
Yeah.
So it's not an. That's why I'm saying I've heard this argument before, but that's what I'm saying when it feels disingenuous because you know it going into the story. Mm-hmm. It's like being mad at Batman for being a trust fund kid. Like if that's a problem, you know it going in. This is not the character for you.
Right. Don't even see it. Just leave it be. It's not for you.
I gotta say, the performances in this movie
should win over everyone.
Outstanding. Nicholas
Across
Hoult,
the board.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a goater for this movie. I think this is the best Superman movie ever made. But if that is even debatable, Nicholas Hoult is the best Lex Luthor I've ever seen. He embodied the spirit of Lex Luthor so well.
Yeah.
Everything that I ever thought about Lex Luthor, like, just came out of him. And
The ultimate hater.
Yes.
yeah,
Dude,
yep, exactly.
hate to a degree. And again, when we get to the spoiler talks, I got some.
But you
with
know
Lex
what?
Specifically, I got some.
In his haterdom, though, that his portrayal of Lex, it showed an almost. I wanted to have some empathy for him for that performance, because there's a great back and forth dialogue between him and Superman, which you go, okay.
Yeah, but that's expected. That
His
there's
coldness.
well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not even that. Well, I mean, it is, but it's a grab bag of things that I feel like they all pulled from iterations past. That's
Yeah.
what's so funny about this, and why it's so hard to like put it somewhere, is that it is everything.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
one version of Lex. It's every Lex you've ever seen. That's what
Yep.
makes it so good. David Cornsweet Superman is not one singular Superman. There's elements and aspects of every Superman you've seen, and I would argue all the way down to George Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way they did the research on understanding the characters and pulling the elements that people loved the most, and then doing the best they could at highlighting those features throughout the 2 hours that this movie was, is what makes it so special. And that's why that's why I will forgive any issue, because it is not a great movie as much as it is one of the best Superman movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It had, like we said in the beginning, you felt this movie.
Yeah.
You felt this movie overall, and that's what left me just with the big ol' smile on my face when I walked out of that theater.
Yeah. It's equal parts, I think, story, spectacle, but probably more heart than anything. And
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that.
There you go.
Like, there wasn't a non-super moment in this movie for Superman.
Well, and he had like young Ted Lasso vibes.
Yeah.
And in the best way. In the best
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And there was there's a scene, a very specific scene, where you just felt hope. Everything that Superman stands for, and you just felt it in that one moment, like, oh my gosh, well done.
It's almost to a degree where it takes away from the believability that anything bad's going to happen to him, because they nailed the feeling of hope so well.
Yep.
That even in these monumental fight scenes and stuff, you're like, well, Clark's there, so. And even like he's not doing well, and you're like, but it's Clark,
Right.
though. So he's
Right.
like, come on,
He'll pull through.
I mean, it opens with what we've seen in
Yeah, that's the trailer.
yeah.
That's the trailer.
Yeah.
If you've seen the trailer, you've seen the first couple minutes. Yeah. So if you end up at the theater late, and by the way, I don't think they'll ever hear this, but to the guys whose seat we stole, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
They showed up late and were like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. And they just sat down. It was like,
They were really cool about that.
they heard me bitching about my movie going experiences before. That's what I'm going to assume. And they were like, you know what, buddy? We're not even going to do this with you. Just
Those are the type of people that definitely love the movie.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh, we had a conversation afterwards because
Yeah.
because they were all fans there. Anybody who went to the Amazon thing was fans. You know what it felt like when we saw Ahsoka in the movie theater, when they showed the first couple episodes of that, and you're just surrounded by fans. That's ideal. It's ideal. It's everything you want the movie to be. I
Right.
really can't say enough positive things about this movie. And when you start talking about performances, the only thing I really wish I would have gotten more is you could have given me another 45 minutes just to spend some more time with some characters. I would have loved a little more Jimmy. Jimmy's
Yeah.
so good.
Jimmy was
Jimmy's so good. And Lois and Clark. I would have loved a little more Lois and Clark, because their chemistry is just.
And everyone was there for a reason. Like we said earlier.
Yeah,
like,
there was no
Well,
all
wasted.
these characters.
Some of the Daily Planet. You're introduced
Yeah.
to some people. You're like, wow, you didn't really need to
Well, yeah.
put the camera on them.
Like
They
Perry
don't really-
Mason.
They don't really show very
Like-
back up much.
Did you say Perry Mason?
Yeah.
No, he does.
He didn't do. He didn't do a whole lot.
No. but at the same time, I don't really want a whole lot coming from the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if I'm going to the movie going, you know what I really would have loved more of? Journalism. That's not...
But I mean, we did get a lot of journalism.
Like, for example, the scene that... Remember the picture that was first released where he's putting his boots on?
Yes.
Where you see the stuff going on at the window,
Yep.
but you're not quite sure what that is?
Yeah.
That scene is so throwaway and wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's
but
so good.
It's ooh.
But
I-
it's,
Oh, my
yeah,
gosh.
you, without that's what I'm
Yep.
trying. I'm being
Can't
I-
spoil.
I'm,
Can't spoil.
I'm walking a
It's-
fine
it's-
line here.
Different from what we've seen.
Yes,
Yes.
in all the best ways. But it's also
Yep.
the same. That's what I'm
Yep.
trying. Like, another point I'm trying to make is it feels like Christopher Reeves. It
Yeah.
feels
Yep.
like Smallville, even though I'm not the biggest fan of that. It feels like Superman and Lois. It feels like if there's an aspect of a character that you like, even down to your Dean Canes, they're in this movie.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
You will find them in it if you're looking for them. If you're looking for reasons to be mad, like, oh God, it's too bright. What is this, a cartoon? Then yeah, you're gonna find that too. You're gonna find it. But if you go into Thor that way, you're gonna be the same way. If you go into the first Captain America, you're gonna be the same way. If you go into the first Avengers, you're gonna be the same way. The movie deserves to be seen through the lens of the inner child it's demanding of.
Yep. 100%. And it's just it's nice. It's
Yes.
nice.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of the best movie-going experiences I've had in a long time, since Endgame. Because it was just so...
Yeah.
It wasn't like big, miraculous moments of everyone cheering and standing up. It was just, I connected with the movie in a way I feel like I haven't in a long time.
I haven't
Yeah.
wanted to go to the theater to see a movie a second time in the theater since Endgame.
Oh, bro,
like
there's no
this.
question. I'm probably seeing it Sunday. No,
Yeah.
no question. I'm going back.
It's hard for me to get out. I'm kind of an introvert, but the fact that this movie was so good that it makes me want to go out in public again.
I like how none of us were really introverts until this show went remote.
Yeah. Right. For real. Oh man.
All right. Well, we're rounding out towards the end here because anything else we're going to say at this point is going to tiptoe into spoiler territory, and I want to give everyone a chance to see this movie so we can all gush together because that's what next week is.
Yeah.
Next
Yep.
Wednesday, come on back, and I'm going to spoil the crap out of this thing.
Yeah.
Tune
I
in.
have
It's gonna
so
be
many
great.
things I want to say about where I think things are going to go, some of the teases that I think that they gave, some of the other characters that blew me away, like Metamorpho. But
Oh, yeah.
there are some
Yeah.
aspects
Oh,
of
and-
this movie that just you like are just you think about it a day later, like, oh God, that was great too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So there's a lot to still talk about here on that. But to celebrate how great this is, our good friend Buzz, who unfortunately could not get his Amazon tickets, but he went out of his way to create an awesome little giveaway for everybody, and that's something that we want to do more of here over at That Comic Podcast. Is give you beautiful folk a couple of. I don't even know what this
Stuff.
is. This is stuff,
Stuff.
but we're kind of like trying to figure out fun ways to do this. Like
But
we were
like-
also talking about like grabbing stuff out of our own collections and giving little grab bags. But if you have ideas, let us know. But this is something that we kind of want to play around with more. But Buzz has taken the initiative and has created an awesome sketch cover from Superman Unlimited of David Cornsweet, and we have a time lapse of it, so you can watch the entire process. It's beautiful. It's incredible how he's able to do things. But
He's
what
so
we're-
freaking talented.
It's how
Yeah.
fast it is amazing. Where he'll text you and go, "Hey, I think I'm going to do a sketch cover," and then 15 minutes later, he's like, "Is this good?"
Yes,
Like,
sir.
bro,
It's
what?
amazing.
But when we did Super Jersey Comic Expo, his print he had like colored by the time I even responded with my thoughts on the sketch. Anyway,
Man.
it's incredible what he's able to do. But he also found a bunch of Superman retro stickers that he wants to throw in. So Buzz is a little care package from Buzz. It is Superman Unlimited with an original sketch cover and some retro stickers. And if you want to be entered to win this, and if you'll see this on social media, we'll make sure the video gets posted as well. You will find the cover. But you have to subscribe to us on YouTube.
YouTube.
And then you also want to comment either what your thoughts of the movie are or what your expectation of the movie is. Right? Or, you know what? Let's even go crazy. If you're into one of these controversies, let me hear about that too. Let me hear about that too.
Comment on
We'll
it.
use
Well, because I want to hear. So I want to hear from people who necessarily didn't like it. I want to
Yeah,
hear the
absolutely.
excuses because
Yeah.
I can't find many reasons. I can understand some, but I can't find them. So if you've got good ones, I can't wait to hear.
Outside of the controversial issues, I want to know. I want to know the negative opinions. Like you said, I want to hear those more than I want to hear people gloat how great it is.
Because we're going to do that regardless.
Right.
I have a feeling there's not one person on this show who's going to say something bad about this. I know Buzz is going to be who? Moshko?
Potentially.
No. Nope.
No.
Nope.
I don't want him
You know
to.
why? It's because it knows what it is.
Okay.
I don't want, again, we're tiptoeing on spoiler territory, so I don't want to get too into that. But
Yeah,
if it was trying to be something else, he'd have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
It knows what it is, and it knows its audience.
But that tune in to see how Moshko feels.
Oh,
about
yeah.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a segue.
You won't want
Hey.
to miss that. You
Well,
might
and then
get a
make
rant.
sure, again, on this video on YouTube, so if you're listening to this or if you're watching the social media, you want to go to the actual video, right? The actual full,
On
what
YouTube.
are we at, 30 minutes long, whatever this is?
Yep.
Whatever
Yep.
this turns out to be, the 30-minute full one. Comment what either you think about the movie or what you're expecting of the movie and when you plan on seeing it, and make sure you're subscribed. Do those two things. You're entered for a chance to win. We will draw on August 1st, and we will announce on the show who won, and we'll ship it out to you. And then we'll start doing that on the regular. So, again, if you have ideas, throw them our way.
Please.
Well, I really
Yeah.
want to spoil this, so I don't.
I know.
I
So
don't
I know.
want to do that with y'all yet.
Let's just go then.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here
Yup.
for your own protection.
Yeah.
So you can find the show at That Comic Podcast everywhere online. That's at That Comic Podcast, your social media choice, unless it's Twitter/X, which is That Comic Pod. But just going to the website is going to be your best place. You will find toy reviews. You'll find obviously the blog post where you will see the rules. You'll see the video, for example, if you want to see the sketch cover. Yeah, I hope everybody liked the movie as much as I did, and if you don't, I can't wait to hear from you. Once again, I'm Menti.
Features.
And I'm Lance.
Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button when you get a chance.
Do it.
Ring the bell to make sure you get notifications.
Ding ding.
Do it.
I feel like I did it right.
Do it.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, dudes.
Feel like it. Yeah.
Later.
Excelsior.